Imagine this. You're at a crowded party. The room is buzzing with laughter, conversation, and energy. Yet, amidst all this activity, you feel completely disconnected. Alone, even. Why does this happen? Why do some people seem to thrive in solitude, while others almost shrink from it? And what does this tell us about the deepest parts of ourselves? Today, we're exploring the fascinating mind of Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, and his unique perspective on the loner. Jung had this profound idea that the experience of loneliness is deeply tied to our ability to communicate what truly matters to us, our innermost thoughts, feelings, and dreams. But there's so much more to it. By the end of this, you'll understand not just why some people prefer solitude, but how this choice can actually be a powerful pathway to self-discovery, personal growth, and even incredible creativity. The loner is often deeply misunderstood. We live in a society that tends to value extroversion, where constant connection and social interaction are celebrated. In that context, the loner can be viewed as odd, aloof, or detached. But what if this preference for solitude wasn't a sign of dysfunction, but of a deeper, more complex psychological process? Carl Jung had a profound theory that sheds light on exactly this. He believed that many people who seek solitude aren't merely avoiding others. They are, in fact, searching for something crucial within themselves. To fully grasp this, we need to start with the foundation, Carl Jung's idea of the self. Now, for Jung, the self isn't just your conscious mind, the part of you that makes decisions, chats with friends, and navigates the daily world. It also includes the vast, mysterious territory of the unconscious mind. This unconscious contains everything from your own forgotten memories and repressed emotions to the archetypal symbols and stories that have shaped human experience across all of time and culture. Jung believed that to become a whole, complete person, we need to integrate both the conscious and unconscious parts of ourselves. And for many people, this journey toward integration, it begins in solitude. Just take a moment to think about this. When was the last time you were truly alone, without any distractions? No phone, no TV, no background noise. In those moments of quiet, you might find your thoughts wandering to places you usually avoid. Your fears, your unresolved emotions, your deepest dreams. According to Jung, these moments of introspection aren't just idle daydreaming. They are absolutely crucial for our psychological health. He called this process individuation. Now you might be wondering, is this journey into solitude necessary for everyone? Jung didn't believe that every single person needs to become a full-time loner to achieve self-understanding. But he did firmly believe that moments of solitude are essential for anyone who wishes to live an authentic life. Think about our modern world. We are constantly pulled toward distraction through technology, social obligations, and work. In this context, finding time to be alone with our own thoughts is more important and more challenging than ever. For some people, this need for solitude is simply greater. And for these individuals, embracing the life of a loner isn't a weakness or a flaw. It's a profound strength. This brings us to a critical point: society's fundamental misunderstanding of the loner. In many cultures, the loner is quickly labeled as antisocial, shy, or even pathological. People are quick to assume that someone who prefers their own company must be lonely, depressed, or socially anxious. But Jung offers a radically different perspective. He suggests that for many, solitude isn't about isolation or a withdrawal from society. It's about inner exploration. These individuals aren't running away from others. They are running toward themselves. They are driven by an inner quest, a deep need to understand who they are and what their place is in the larger picture of life. Let's pause and reflect on this personally. Have you ever felt that need to withdraw? To just step away from the constant pressure of social interaction, even if just for an evening? If so, you're definitely not alone. And according to Jung, this desire isn't something to be feared, suppressed, or seen as a problem. Instead, it should be embraced as a vital, natural part of your journey towards self-knowledge. As we dive deeper into Jung's ideas, we start to see that the psychology of the loner isn't just about avoiding people. It's about actively engaging with one's inner world. It's about giving yourself the mental and emotional space to think, to reflect, and to grow. This isn't a rejection of society, but rather an affirmation of the immense importance of understanding oneself first. In this first part, we've laid the foundation for understanding the psychology of the loner from a Jungian perspective. But there's so much more to uncover. How does this journey into solitude actually impact creativity? How do loners find deep meaning in their lives, even when they are apart from others? And most importantly, what can we all learn from their experiences to enrich our own lives? In the next part, we'll explore how solitude can unlock incredible creativity and lead to profound insights. We'll also look at real-world examples of individuals who have embraced the life of a loner and how it fundamentally transformed them. So stay with us, because what comes next could genuinely change the way you think about solitude and its role in your own personal journey. Let's continue by diving into one of the most surprising and powerful aspects of solitude: its deep, intrinsic link to creativity. Jung himself was no stranger to this. He would often retreat to his secluded tower in Bollingen, Switzerland, where he'd spend days in total isolation, contemplating his ideas, writing, and even engaging in hands-on creative acts like painting and carving stones. He didn't see this as escapism. He believed that solitude, when embraced fully, could serve as a direct gateway to inspiration and profound inner insights. So picture this. You're in a quiet room, far from the demands, notifications, and noise of everyday life. It's just you and the landscape of your own thoughts. In this silence, something remarkable begins to happen. Ideas that were once buried deep beneath the surface of your conscious mind start to bubble up. Connections you never noticed before suddenly become clear. Without the constant static of the outside world, your mind finally has the freedom to wander, to explore strange new pathways, and to create. This is the raw power of solitude, a power that Carl Jung understood on a deeply personal level. Jung proposed that true creativity doesn't just arise from our conscious, logical mind. In fact, some of our most brilliant ideas often come from the unconscious, that vast, hidden reservoir of memories, impulses, and archetypal symbols. This is a place that isn't always accessible when we're busy, distracted, and overstimulated. The loner, by consciously seeking solitude, creates the perfect conditions for these unconscious thoughts and ideas to rise to the surface. In other words, some of the most groundbreaking creativity is born not in the crowd, but in the quiet, undisturbed spaces of our own minds. Just consider some of the greatest artists, writers, and thinkers throughout history. So many of them were known to be relentless seekers of solitude in order to create their masterpieces. Think of Virginia Woolf, who fiercely guarded her private room and time to write. Or Henry David Thoreau, who famously lived in solitude at Walden Pond to reflect on life, society, and nature. Even a scientific genius like Albert Einstein would regularly seek out moments of quiet to think deeply about his theories, often going for long, solitary walks. These individuals understood something that our modern, hypersocial world often overlooks: that solitude can be the very birthplace of innovation and genius. But let's be real here. This process isn't always comfortable or easy. For many people, being truly alone with their thoughts can be unsettling, even frightening. In solitude, we aren't just confronted with our creative potential. We're also confronted with our inner fears, our nagging doubts, and our deep-seated insecurities. This is what Jung called the shadow. The shadow represents all those parts of ourselves that we typically keep hidden, even from our own conscious minds. It's the darker, less flattering side of our personality. The jealousy, the pride, the laziness, the anger, the aspects we find difficult to accept or admit to. For the loner, solitude isn't just a peaceful time for reflection. It's also a courageous time for confronting the shadow. And while this can be an intensely challenging and uncomfortable process, it's also incredibly rewarding. By facing the shadow, by bringing it into the light of our awareness, we begin to understand ourselves more fully. We see both our immense strengths and our very human weaknesses, and we slowly become more integrated, whole individuals. This process of integrating the shadow is a cornerstone of individuation, that journey toward wholeness that Jung believed was absolutely essential for genuine personal growth. Now, you might be wondering, why would anyone willingly want to confront the darker, uglier parts of themselves? What's the actual benefit of staring into your own shadow? The answer lies in the profound transformation that occurs when you do. When you acknowledge, and crucially, accept your shadow, you free yourself from its unconscious control. Instead of being unknowingly driven by your fears and insecurities, which can massively block creativity, you become more self-aware, more grounded, and ultimately more free to create from a place of authenticity. Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Let me repeat that, because it's so important. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That statement is the absolute heart of the loner's creative journey. In solitude, the loner has the unique opportunity to not only tap into their deepest creative potential, but also to face and integrate the parts of themselves they might otherwise ignore. This powerful combination of unleashed creativity and hard-won self-awareness leads to a much deeper understanding of the self and a greater ability to navigate the complexities of both art and life. This brings us to a crucial realization. Solitude isn't just a physical state of being alone. It's also a mental one. You don't have to be a hermit in the woods to experience its benefits. Even in the midst of a busy, connected life, it's possible and vital to deliberately carve out moments of quiet reflection. These moments, whether they're 15 minutes with your journal in the morning or a long walk without your phone, can serve as a sacred time to connect with your inner self, to process your emotions, and to allow your creativity to flow without interruption. Now, let's bring this home. Think about your own life. Have you ever had a moment where you felt completely stuck creatively, where no matter how hard you racked your brain, you just couldn't come up with a new idea or a solution to a problem? It's often in these exact moments that solitude can be the most powerful medicine. By consciously stepping away from the noise and the pressure, you give your mind the space it desperately needs to think freely. And it's almost always in these quiet, unforced moments that the breakthroughs suddenly happen. The psychology of the loner teaches us that solitude isn't something to be feared or avoided. It's something to be respected and embraced. It's a tool, a workshop for the mind that can lead to profound self-discovery, boundless creativity, and real personal transformation. For the loner, the time spent alone is never wasted. It's a vital, non-negotiable part of their journey toward understanding themselves and their unique place in the world. But there's another layer to this that we haven't yet explored. While solitude can lead to incredible insights and growth, it can also present real emotional challenges. Loners often face feelings of isolation, not just physically, but emotionally as well. They may struggle to connect with others or feel profoundly misunderstood by a society that doesn't get their need for alone time. Jung recognized this tension deeply and offered wise guidance on how to navigate it. In the next part, we will dive into these emotional challenges faced by loners and how Jung's insights can help us understand and overcome these difficulties. We'll explore the delicate, essential balance between solitude and human connection, and how the loner can find deep meaning and fulfillment in a world that often misunderstands them. There's much more to uncover, and the most important revelations, the ones that can truly change your daily life, are yet to come. Stay with us as we continue this journey into the depths of Jung's understanding of the loner. As we bring our exploration of Carl Jung's psychology of the loner to a close, it's time to tackle the most pressing challenge, the emotional landscape. We've celebrated solitude as a source of creativity and self-discovery, but let's be completely honest. This path isn't always a peaceful, serene walk in the woods. It can be a lonely and isolating road. That feeling of being disconnected, even when you're surrounded by people, is a reality many loners know all too well. So, how do we reconcile this? How can something so essential for growth also feel so painfully isolating at times? Carl Jung offered a crucial distinction that changes everything. He proposed that loneliness isn't merely the physical state of being alone. True loneliness, the kind that aches, comes from a feeling that you are unable to communicate what is most vital and meaningful to you, your innermost thoughts, your profoundest feelings, the very core of your personal truth. This is the paradox at the heart of the loner's experience. The inward journey grants you incredible self-knowledge, but that knowledge can become a wall between you and others. How do you explain a dream that reshaped your understanding of yourself? How do you articulate a confrontation with your own shadow? The vocabulary for these experiences is deeply personal and often feels inadequate. This struggle to translate your inner world is what creates that profound sense of isolation, even in a crowd. Jung understood this tension intimately, but he didn't see it as a life sentence. The solution isn't to abandon your nature and force yourself into a whirlwind of superficial socializing. That would be a betrayal of the self you've worked so hard to discover. Instead, the path forward is to seek a different quality of connection. The goal is to find your tribe, a community, or even just one or two individuals who operate on a similar wavelength. These are people who don't just tolerate your need for solitude, but understand and respect it. They are the people with whom you can sit in comfortable silence, or with whom you can finally share those hard-won insights without fear of being met with a blank stare. This kind of connection doesn't drain you, it reaffirms you. It bridges the gap between your rich inner world and the external social world, making you feel seen and validated for who you truly are. This brings us to the central dynamic balance of the loner's life, the equilibrium between solitude and connection. Jung's concept of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming your whole, authentic self, absolutely requires both. You need the solitude to do the inner work, to reflect, to confront your shadow, to listen to the whispers of your unconscious, and to integrate all these parts into a cohesive self. But you also need genuine connection to ground that self in the shared human experience. It is in relationship with others that we often see our own reflections most clearly. Sharing your journey helps solidify it, and receiving the perspectives of others can open up new avenues of understanding you might have missed in your solitude. The loner who never connects risks becoming unmoored, lost in their own inner cosmos. The person who never seeks solitude risks being defined entirely by the outside world, never knowing their true depth. To navigate this balance effectively, it's incredibly helpful to understand the source of your energy. This is where Jung's groundbreaking ideas on introversion and extroversion provide a vital map. He proposed that these are fundamental orientations of the psyche. Extroverts are oriented toward the external world. They gain energy from social interaction, activity, and being with others. Introverts, by contrast, are oriented toward their inner world. They gain energy from solitude, reflection, and quiet time. For the archetypal loner, this introverted energy is not a preference, but a necessity. It is the fuel for their creativity, their clarity, and their personal growth. Recognizing this is liberating. It means your need for solitude isn't a social deficit. It's the very mechanism that allows you to function at your best. Honoring that need is an act of self-care and strength. So with all this theory in mind, let's get practical. How can you, in your daily life, embrace the benefits of solitude while minimizing the sting of loneliness? How do you build a life that honors your inner loner while staying meaningfully connected? First, you must reframe solitude from a passive state to an active practice. In a world of constant digital noise, true solitude must be intentional. It's not just about being physically away from people. It's about creating a mental space free from distraction. This means consciously setting aside time where you are alone with your thoughts. No podcasts, no scrolling, no background television. This can feel unnerving at first, like sitting in a quiet room with a stranger, but that stranger is you. With practice, this active engagement with your own mind becomes less daunting and more enriching. It's in this space that you can truly process your experiences, untangle your emotions, and hear the intuitive insights that are usually drowned out. Second, find a consistent tool to facilitate this inner dialogue. For many, journaling is the most direct and powerful method. The act of writing forces you to crystallize your nebulous thoughts and feelings into words. It's a structured way to talk to your unconscious, to document your dreams, and to track your journey of individuation. Jung himself did this meticulously in his Red Book, which was essentially a prolonged, profound conversation with his own psyche. You don't need a leather-bound book to start, just a notebook and a pen. Other powerful practices include mindfulness meditation, which trains you to observe your thoughts without judgment, or going for long walks in nature without any technological distractions. These activities create the container for your solitary work. Finally, be fiercely intentional about your social world. Pursue depth over breadth. Let go of the societal pressure to maintain a vast network of acquaintances. Instead, invest your limited social energy in cultivating a few deep, meaningful relationships. These are the people who value authenticity over small talk. They are the ones you can call after a month of silence and pick up right where you left off. Nurturing these connections requires effort, but it's a rewarding effort that leaves you feeling fuller, not emptier. They are your anchor to the shared human experience, a reminder that your solitary journey, while unique, is part of a larger whole. In the end, the psychology of the loner, as illuminated by Carl Jung, is not a pathology to be cured. It is a valid, powerful, and necessary path of human development. It's a cyclical journey. You withdraw to understand yourself, and you return to connect from a place of greater authenticity and wholeness. The goal is not to choose between solitude and connection, but to dance between them, allowing each to inform and enrich the other. As Jung so eloquently put it, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. The journey of the loner is ultimately a journey toward awakening. It's about having the courage to look inside, to embrace the solitude that makes that possible, and to then have the courage to share the person you find there with a world that deeply needs your unique, authentic perspective.